YouTube, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the show. You're not gonna believe what just happened. The biggest players in global finance and the biggest names in crypto, they just made moves that all point in one direction. A once in a generation transition. It is starting right freaking now. And Ripple, XRP, they are positioning themselves dead center at the heart of it all. Stick with me, because once you see how all of these pieces connect, you're going to understand why the next 24 months might change everything. And we're starting right here. 4 acquisitions, 1 mission, the internet of value. Let's start with the quiet giant. Just made one of the loudest statements in all of fintech. Ripple didn't just acquire a company, they acquired an entire infrastructure stack in 4 moves. GTreasury, institutional treasury management, rail, settlement plumbing, Palisade, an enterprise custody solution, and Ripple Prime, digital asset liquidity. None of this is random. This is not them just out there window shopping and may decide, hey, we want to buy this today, we want to buy that. No. This is what we call a vertical integration. It kind of reminds me the kind that Apple did with its hardware and its OS, the same strategy that made them unstoppable. Because look, Ripple isn't building a product, folks. They're building the operating system for the internet of value. Imagine custody, liquidity, treasury, payments, real-time settlement, all under one unified platform. That's not a feature upgrade. That is a new global financial rail. The last time we saw something like this, can you guess what it was? It was Swift being born. The difference though, Ripple is building for an era where value moves as fast as data, and institutions, they deeply and desperately, they need this. Now keep that in mind, because the next 72 hours in legacy finance, it proves what a world is finally catching up. And if you don't got your one-on-one strategy call with me booked yet, well, now's the time to take a little break. Boop, hit that link below, get it on book before those calls are gone. So let's talk about this. The past 72 hours, what has really happened in crypto? Because we got the 3 biggest names in traditional finance. They sent shockwaves through the entire crypto market. You have an $11 trillion Vanguard who opened access to crypto ETFs, a $1.8 trillion Bank of America who has recommended a 4% allocation to crypto, and then a $12 trillion Charles Schwab announcing Bitcoin and Ethereum trading coming in 2026. And here's the crazy part. Because as all of this happened immediately after one of the ugliest crashes in Bitcoins and altcoins we've seen all year. Institutions don't buy tops. I keep telling you this. Institutions buy the blood. Institutions, they buy the invertible. Maybe all of it is a coincidence. Or maybe the biggest money on earth knows that crypto, it is about to become unavoidable. Because when $3 trillion titans pivot in less than 72 hours, you're not looking at hype. You're looking at transformation. And speaking of transformation, the US, they just approved something that changes the entire regulatory landscape overnight. Right here, Bitnomial, they just launched the first ever CFTC regulated spot crypto exchange in the United States. And guess what's listed on day 1? If you guessed XRP, you guessed right. Let me say it again. XRP just landed on a federally regulated derivatives exchange offerings. Leverage spot. You got your perps, your futures, your options, all under CFTC oversight. Remember the video we showed you the other day of Carolyn Pham who told you to lock in? Well, now we know why. This is not a trading platform. This is a gateway for institutions. And make sure you head over to xrprightnow.com. I'm going to be creating an article that breaks this all down and what it means and what we can expect from the price of XRP on this. Look, when hedge funds, banks, pension funds, they cannot and will not touch unregistered venues. But a CFTC regulated spot exchange, well, that's Wall Street's love language. What's your love language, by the way? Comment below. And this ties perfectly into our next segment, Ripple's breakthrough. This deal is now official. Remember, everyone's like, but we knew about this. Well, we knew about it, but it wasn't official. It had to get sign off. It had to get approval. And guess what? It is done. GTreasury, a 40-year titan, trusted by corporate treasury teams across the world, is now officially part of Ripple. That is huge. For 4 decades, Treasury's entire job has been helping CFOs manage liquidity, cash flow, risk, and settlement. But now, well, they're bringing the entire legacy into digital assets all through Ripple. This makes Ripple the default bridge between your legacy corporate finance and your next gen blockchain settlement. No friction, no boundaries, real-time liquidity, and global settlement. This is exactly what institutions have been waiting for. And why Ripple builds the infrastructure? Well, crypto, it just continues to explode in Europe. We're talking about MiCA compliant Euro stablecoins are going live on the XRP ledger. That's right. This is a sleeping giant moment. The very first MiCA compliant Euro stablecoin, it's live on the XRP ledger on Swissborg. Remember, folks, if it uses the XRP ledger, it uses XRP. Why does this matter? It's simple. This matters because MiCA is the gold standard of global crypto regulations. Any asset, stablecoin, or infrastructure that passes MiCA, it has a green light across the entire EU. This now means that the XRP ledger is a regulatory approved payment rail. It's cross-border Euro transfers. They now become instant. And your institutional capital, it can finally move compliantly all on the XRP ledger. We are watching the foundation of a European settlement system being built, ones that runs on the XRP ledger rails. And don't forget about that transatlantic coin. Remember, Ripple was over there with the White House, with the EU Parliament members, and now we're seeing this MiCA compliant running on the ledger. You're starting to connect the dots. I know I am. And as Europe tightens its regulations, guess what? America just made a move that nobody expected. The US government just backed a crypto trading platform. Yeah, you heard that right. The CFTC, they announced a government-backed Bitcoin and crypto trading platform. We just spoke about it. But let's get deeper and let's listen to what Fox Business got to say on it. Here we go.
Matt, crypto goes mainstream. The Commodities Futures Trading Commission announcing the launch of the first government-supervised crypto trading platform. It allows Americans to instantly buy, sell, and finance digital assets. Fox Business's Darren Botello, live in Washington with all the details. Darren, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning, Maria. Of course, right now, as we all know, you can buy and sell crypto online already, but this is the first time, like you said, a spot trading platform is getting the full backing of the federal government. So why does this even matter to investors that the CFTC is backing this new Bitnomial platform? These other platforms are legally operating, but here's the catch, Maria. They're often called the Wild West. Basically, it's buyer beware. We've seen this with the collapse of FTX and customers eventually losing out on huge profits they would have had their money stayed safe in the market, they would have had it. Now with this Bitnomial platform, there are stricter standards for transparency, security, and consumer protection to prevent an FTX-style collapse. We spoke exclusively with acting CFTC Chairman Caroline Pham ahead of this new platform going live.
Not only do we want Americans to come back home and to be trading here, where they know that they have the protections that they deserve. But again, that means that American companies that are involved in the crypto industry, they're going to want to build here. They're going to want to invest here. They're going to want to hire here. So this is overall a net benefit to the economy.
And Bitnomial
I like net benefits. And guess what? Guess what Brad Garlinghouse is going to be doing? He's on the board of Bitnomial, folks. Let that sink in. So the same government that has spent years fighting crypto is now sponsoring the rails that's going to move trillions through it. This is mainstream. This is adoption, everyone. And that's not even the biggest signal yet, because BlackRock CEO, the man who manages more money than entire countries, he just confirmed the next phase. Now look, Larry Fink, he doesn't do hype. When he speaks, trillions move. And he just revealed something massive. He stated that a number of sovereign funds are now accumulating Bitcoin through ETFs. Listen.
Foundation, endowment just bought a lot of IBIT. But I can tell you there are a number of sovereign funds that are standing by. They're adding incrementally at 120, at 100. I know they bought more in the 80s.
Huge.
That's fine. And they're establishing a longer position. And you own it over years. This is not a trade. You own it
Folks, this is not retail buying. This isn't traders. This is not even institutions. This is your oil nations, your global governments, your state-backed wealth funds. These entities, they don't trade. They accumulate with purpose and with volume, and then they hold it for decades. So when the biggest money on earth treats Bitcoin like a long-term strategic allocation, you're not early. You are witnessing history. For the first time ever, we are here before the institutions. You are probably never going to be able to say that again in your lifetime. And last week, well, it proves that it just wasn't Bitcoin. That's right. Look at these headlines from just 1 week ago. Sony planning a USD stablecoin for gaming and anime. They went cross-platform payments across their entire ecosystem. The NASDAQ, they are accelerating tokenized stocks. They're pushing hard to tokenize equities, the biggest markets in the world. I speak about Ando a lot on the live streams. You show up Wednesday, 7 p.m. Ando, tokenization of stocks. S&P downgrades Tether, a signal that stablecoins are being scrutinized like real financial instruments. You got the Upbit breach, a reminder that your regulated, insured, institutional grade custody, it's becoming mandatory. None of this is random news. These are all your signals. Signals that the financial system is preparing for a world where everything, your cash, stocks, settlement liquidity, it all becomes tokenized. And when you connect all of these sections, a very clear picture emerges. Crypto is not going anywhere. It is just getting stronger. And it is growing day by day. Forget about the price movement, what happens in the next 24 hours, 40, it doesn't matter. Because the long-term vision, this is gonna be an 8, 10, 15, 20 trillion dollar market, folks. Now, let's recap everything, because in just the last few weeks, Ripple built the full Internet of Value stack. Vanguard, Schwab, Bank of America, they all moved into crypto. Sovereign funds started accumulating Bitcoin. The XRP ledger launched a MiCA-compliant Euro stablecoin. The CFTC, they launched a US government-backed crypto platform. And the NASDAQ has accelerated tokenization. And institutions, they loaded up through ETFs, even during market crashes. None of this is hype. This is not a cycle. This is your global financial system rewiring itself in real time. And Ripple, XRP, and blockchain settlement, all those rails are right in the middle of it. If you're here now, hey, congratulations. You're early. You're paying attention. And you are watching the new financial internet being born piece by piece. I hope you enjoyed. As always, hit that thumbs up on your way out, and I'll see all y'all